Hi teachers, this video is going to show you how to get instructional units from your H drive, shared drive, zip drives, desktop into your managed files within your courses. And then we will cover how to build course content using items from your managed files. So the first thing that you'll need to do is go up to your mini bar and find your course from this semester if you want to start there. Of course, you're welcome to start in your sandbox as well. But for now, I'm going to start in my course. And for the fall, it's going to be 2015 semester 1, even though it's technically fall 2014. But that's the course that you're choosing. Okay, and then you're going to click on Manage Files. Now I want you to think of Manage Files as your virtual H drive. And some of you actually spent time in your sandbox organizing your Manage Files last semester, and if that's the case, you will want to see the training resources on how to copy from one shell to another from your sandbox into your course, your Manage Files. But let's say that you have nothing in your Manage Files, or maybe you have some things in here but it kind of looks a little messy. You always want to keep your managed files organized so that when you copy from course to course, it's very easy to find things. Think of your managed files as your back office or your virtual H drive. Just as in your H drive here at school or your shared drive here at school, students cannot see what's in your H drive. It's a way for you to organize your files. Okay, then your content is going to be what students actually see. So managed files is what only you can see, and it's where all of your files that you have in your content are stored. So it's very, very important to keep these organized. You'll want to see Marcia's handout on common mistakes with managed files and content to kind of see how they match up. But let's say that you're starting with nothing. You don't have anything in here yet. There's a couple of different ways that you can do this. So the first way that you can do this is to start by creating your folders in Manage Files. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to click New Folder, and I'm going to call this Unit 1, and we're going to pretend like I start my unit with Romanticism, and then I'm going to hit Save. Okay, now let's create another folder, and I'm going to call this Unit 2, and then we'll say this is going to be Realism, and then I'm going to hit Save. Oh, it doesn't like my little character there. Okay, so in my Unit 1 folder, I can now create subfolders within this folder. So let's say in Unit 1 Romanticism, I'm going to cover first the Fireside Poets, and then I'm going to hit Save. You can see over here how it collapses down to show you that this is a folder within a folder. Okay, still within this folder, and I know I'm in the Romanticism folder by looking up here and following my cookies here. I can click New Folder. Okay, and let's say that the next thing that I want to put into this specific Romanticism folder is going to be, let's go with Transcendentalism and save. Okay, and then let's say I create another folder, and this folder is going to focus on Dark Romanticism. Okay, so then I could go into Unit 2 and create my subfolders with Unit 2 and so on and so forth. So you're kind of seeing the skeleton of how this would work. I can create folders within folders within folders. So within these folders, let's say I go into Romanticism and I want to load some files into this folder. So the way that I would do this is I would click Upload. Now you would think you would click New File, but New File is actually going to create, as you can see when I put my cursor over, an HTML file, which we'll cover in a different session. So I'm going to click Upload, and then I can actually upload straight from my computer. Okay, so here I'm going to upload a PowerPoint. And then I can click Open, or another way I can upload is if I'm in Google Chrome, I can highlight, I can hold down the Control button and highlight several different things that I want, and then I can upload, I can drag and drop them in here. Now since I'm in Internet Explorer right now, this feature won't work, but in Google Chrome you could actually drag and drop the file right in here, and you'll see a little green box show up. Okay, so that might be a fast way to upload multiple documents. Okay, so I'm going to click Save. And then my documents will appear here. I can click on the little arrow next to the documents to rename it if I want. I can delete it. I can click right here. I can cut it and paste it into a different folder if I change my mind. So I'm going to pause the video and upload some more documents into these folders. Okay, so now I've paused it. I've put some different items in each of these folders. You can see I put a video in this one, a video file. I put Word documents, PowerPoints. And so you might be thinking, okay, this is taking a while. Is there any way to upload folders? Well, if you're very, very organized and your H drive is very organized, you may want to consider zipping your files. So let me show you real quick how to do that. So let's say that I'm going to delete this dark romanticism. Okay, because I actually have a really organized file on my H drive right here. So notice I have folders within folders. So I want to take this whole file and upload it because it already has a ton of documents and I'm ready to put it in there without having to recreate the folders. So if I want to do this, I just right click on the folder that's already organized. I click Send to, Compress Zip Folder, and it'll take just a second. And once I do that, you see right here it appears the name of the folder and then zip, okay, .zip. Then I can go into the place where I want to put this folder and I can click Upload. And then I can upload the compressed zipped folder. And it may take just a second depending on how large this folder is. And then I can click Save. And then once I save, then you'll notice that the zip folder appears here, and then I will need to unzip the folder. So all I did was click on this little arrow, and then I clicked unzip, and then this usually takes a couple of seconds. And now you see this folder is unzipped, and if we look inside, then my folders within my folders have stayed there, and there are all of my names of my files, which I may want to rename because they don't look very pretty. Okay, I didn't have them named well to begin with, and I can delete what I don't want. And then I could actually go back into my romanticism folder and I can delete that zipped folder. So if you're someone who's very organized and you're pulling from a place where all your folders are very organized, then you may want to consider zipping your files. And I know I went through that quickly, but the directions are found in the checkpoint number 4, how to zip files. Okay, so that's a basic tutorial of manage files. You always want to make sure that your manage files are organized. You don't just want a bunch of Word documents and PowerPoints not organized in folders. It's going to make your life easier in the long haul. Let's say you have some files that you would like to move around a little bit. So let's say you have this Word document. You can cut it, and then let's say I want to put this in my PO. Okay. Then I can go back up here and I can click in the folder that I wanted in and I can click paste here. But sometimes when you do that, then your links and your content may be broken. And this is covered more in depth in Marsha's instructions on common mistakes with content and manage files. So you probably want to take a look at that. So once you have your manage files built, now I'm ready for my students to see some content. Okay, so I'm ready to start a module. So my first module is going to be Unit 1 Romanticism. Or I can just call it Unit 1 if I want. I can call it whatever I'd like. So there's Unit 1, and then I could go ahead and put in my Unit 2, Realism. But within Unit 1, I want to create my sub-modules. So my sub-modules are going to be, see, the first one I think we said was Dark Romanticism. I just click outside and it creates it, and then I want to add another sub-module. I'm going to add Fireside Poets. And then I'm going to go down and I'm going to add Transcendentalism. Okay, so now I have my module, and then within this module I've got my sub-modules. You see how they're indented over here a little bit. Okay, I'm going to start with the Dark Romanticism module, and I'm going to add from my manage files. So I'm going to go to my manage files, and these are the folders that I just created in my little virtual H drive. Alright, let's say I just want to add in a couple of I want to add in my Hawthorne PowerPoint, I want to add in my Scarlet Letter rubric, and I can add it in there. Okay? There's one way to add files for your students to see. Now let's say you're working on this module and you decide, okay, I kind of want to play a little bit, and I know I can play in my sandbox, which is fine, but then I have to copy things over later. So maybe I want to actually just play in my core shell. Well, right now my students can see what I'm doing. But if I come up here and I click on draft, then the students can no longer see this module. I can play without them looking at it. And then when I'm ready for them to see it again, I could go back to click on publish. So I'm going to keep this in draft mode because I don't want them to really see what I'm doing yet. And I'm going to come down here to Fireside Poets, and instead of adding from manage files, I'm going to actually upload from my computer. So I'm going to click upload, and I'm going to browse on my computer and find a document that I'd like to upload, or maybe multiple documents. And then I'm going to notice something right here that says choose destination. All right, this is very, very important to keep note of. Anything that you put into your content automatically appears in your manage files, but it's just kind of thrown into your manage files. It's not organized into those nice folders that you already created. So it's very important that anything that you create, even if you grab it from your computer, that you choose your destination on where you want it to go in your manage files. So I want this to go, since this is a brand new document, into my Fireside Poet folder. Now let's say I actually want it to go in a folder that doesn't exist. Notice right here you can create folders in your manage files. Okay, so I'm going to select this path. There it is, right there. Think of that as equivalent to going File, Save As on a Word document and navigating to a certain spot on your H drive. And then I'm going to click Add. Okay, and then my Word document will appear there. And then if I go back into my manage files, I will see it in my manage files in the correct folder. All right, so that is adding something directly to your computer, uploading it. Always remember to choose the destination. And again, see Marsha's directions on common mistakes with manage files and contents. Okay, let's say I'm going to go down to my Transcendentalism module and I want to create a file. Okay, what this does is this actually opens up what we call an HTML editor. And in this HTML editor, I can do several things. Let's say that I want to put directions for their Transcendentalism project resources. Think of this as sort of like a little web page where you can put pretty much anything on here. You notice you can insert stuff within this web page. You could search for a YouTube video on Transcendentalism. But remember, when you put in a YouTube video, it's still going to be blocked at school. Okay, but this way they could view it from home. And then you can insert here. Okay, you could also insert a quick link to a Dropbox, to a discussion. You could insert a URL. So all of this stuff is covered in the HTML editor directions. Okay, you can type in text, please watch this video and complete this handout. So this is the same HTML type of editor that you would use when you create, for example, a news item. You could insert a picture. You could do all sorts of things in here. You can kind of play around and create this sort of web page is what it will kind of look like to the students. And then notice right here you've got your change your path. This is very important to remember to save it in an organized place in your manage files. So I'm going to create actually a new folder in my manage files, and I'm going to call this project resources. So you could actually start in your content and upload your documents there and then create your folders in here. It's just up to you, however your brain works. Okay, there's my project resources, and then I select it in there. And then I can publish, and that creates a file within eClass that when the students click on it, they'll see all of this stuff. You're going to obviously add more fancy things to it. You can even add Word documents in here. So that covers very, very quickly the create file. So when you upload, you can upload a file, save it to your managed files, upload from your managed files, create a file, lots of other things here. But I'm running out of time. 15-minute is my limit for this video, so please let us know if you have any questions and see the checklist number 4 for step-by-step instructions. Thank you.